Okay, welcome to another episode, to a live episode of AI News You Can Use with me, Dr. Marie Haynes. This month has been crazy. I just got back from Google I/O. I was honored to be invited. I really don't know how people get invited to Google I/O. They invited me as part of a group that they called the Builders Group, and we had some special talks and some meals and things that they provided for us. And I learned so much about the future of search through this event, Google I/O. So what we're going to do today, this is a little bit of a different type of episode. It's a live podcast, so bear with me if we have some technology hiccups. There's a chat area if you're here live, so feel free to talk amongst yourselves and to ask questions. I'm going to try to cover the questions in the chat. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover AI mode, Gemini Live search, which is very, very interesting, and AI in Chrome, all sorts of really interesting things that are happening. We're also going to talk about agent mode. If you have been following my work, you know that recently I've really been talking a lot about agents, and there's really going to be a lot of big change in the web in terms of agents. So I think probably the best way to do this, I'm going to screen share my let's see here, my blog post. And I want to ask you in the chat, because I had an issue last time. Can you still see me? Can somebody tell me that in the chat? Can you hear me even? Several people are typing. Okay, you can. Because when I did this before, we lost me. I mean, you don't need to be looking at me, but it adds a little bit more personality. So here's the first cool thing. I got to meet Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. I didn't get to talk to him very much. I told him that my license plate used to be "Thank you, Google," because Google has given me so much opportunity to have this really cool life that I could make a living talking to you about things like this. But I didn't tell him that I had to get rid of it because people kept cutting me off on the highway. Anyways, I didn't get to talk to him for very long, but it was really an honor to take this picture. And then I turned around and Sergey Brin was in the room as well, and I did get to be in a talk with Sergey Brin and Demis Hassabis, which maybe we'll talk about if we have time. I want to talk first about AI mode. So most of you have probably used AI mode. I'm thinking if you're in the US, everybody has access to it now. You can see it when you go to search, there's an option to use AI mode, or one of the little buttons up in the top left where it says news and images and video, you will see AI mode there. And I really predict that eventually AI mode will be the regular search, and there will be a little button at the top to go back to traditional or classic search. That's my guess on what's going to happen. So some of what we talk about on AI mode is probably not going to be new to you, but I think all of us have a lot to learn in how websites are ranked in AI mode, because it's different. So AI mode uses this thing called a query fan out technique. I have an article that I wrote a few months ago actually about what we know so far about how this works. Mike King wrote an excellent article just recently, very, very long article. I actually read most of it, which took quite a long time. I agree with what Mike's saying. He's really laid out the foundations of what we need to know about vector search and about how the query fan out technique works. Mike found a patent that is likely behind how AI mode works. I do, and I sent a message to Mike. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I do think that he's missing one thing. I think that it's one thing for us to understand how to convince Google that we should be ranked in AI mode, but I really think that AI mode is constantly learning from what people click on. So if you are one of the websites in the carousel, I'm going to show you in a second here what it looks like. If you're one of the websites in that carousel, that's fantastic. But if you are not a website that people consistently click on and go on to get more information from, then you may find that you drop out of AI mode. So I personally think that we're going to see a lot of changes. I'm actually quite excited because a good number of my sites that I've worked with, clients that I've worked with, are doing really well in AI mode. And that even includes some sites that have been suppressed by core updates. And we've been working really hard to get them out of that suppression. One of those sites actually did see a big improvement back to pre-helpful content update, September helpful content update levels back and in just the last couple of weeks. I don't think that's because of AI mode, because it started before then, but Google's algorithms really are changing. So let's see, I'm going to run this video where I already searched in regular mode, and then I hit this little button to go to AI mode. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but I want to show you, let's just go back there for a second. I want to show you how you can see, first of all, it says kicking off one search. Now, I sat in a demo of Gemini Live search, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And the woman who we spoke with, she actually works on AI mode, and she told me quite a bit about how it works. So she said that when you do a search, now, first of all, Google said that when people search in AI mode, they tend to type queries that are 2 to 3 times longer than what you would type in traditional search. And so she said they take that query and they use a language model to break it up into subtopics. And then they go out and they do searches on the subtopics and find relevant information. Then AI mode again uses a language model to put it all together into an answer, which we're going to see here. And then it decides which of, because you're going to see here, it says it's going to search, I think it was 59. Yeah, I think it ends up being 59 sites for this query that it searches for. And in that case, not all 59 of those sites are going to be shown to users, which is something that I know, like, I'm not happy about that, but I also kind of understand why Google, and we can talk about this. If you have questions later on, we'll talk about, we can talk about the ethics, really, that Google, well, you know what, why don't we talk about that a little bit right now? I believe that for 25 years, Google gave us this incredible opportunity that we were encouraged to create content, and then we were able to make money from that content. So we could put ads on it, we could have affiliate revenue, or we could sell things from our website. And I do think that for many websites, that era is ending. Now, is that unfair? Did Google use us? I think they did. I think I looked back a little while back, I can't find it now, but there was a video from Matt Cutts, former head of web spam at Google, and he was encouraging people to write niche blogs. How funny now, right? Because a lot of the niche blogs were ones that were impacted by the helpful content system. And you know why they were doing that, in my opinion, was because Google needed that niche info. And the only way to encourage people to put info on the web was to help allow us to monetize it. So yeah, I think Google used us to get our content. And I think that a good number of people that revenue source is going. However, I think for many businesses, there will be more opportunities that come with AI mode. So we can talk about that in a minute. So if we go on to do this search, you can see it takes a little bit of time for the websites to appear. And then so here are the websites that Google, the search system, predicted would be ones that I'd want to click on even after I read this information. So we'll see here that the carousel shows Search Engine Roundtable, the Google blog, CNET, and I don't know who SiliconANGLE is. Maybe that's a big site that I just haven't heard of. And what I find in AI mode, because we're going to see all sorts of things saying, how do you get into this carousel? I do think that for a lot of queries, EEAT is important. If you look at almost all of those sites that were shown there, they're sites that we recognize. And so if you're looking for news, then you're more likely to see an authoritative news site in in that carousel. However, Google said one thing at I/O that was really encouraging to me, and they said something to the extent of, we hope that AI mode surfaces content from sites that you've never heard of before or have yet to experience. I do believe that Google's system that tries to identify where helpful content lives will get better and better at figuring out that, this website didn't just summarize all the points for AI mode that were used in AI mode, but actually has something that would draw people beyond doing this search. So we'll continue here. And you can see then that there's this big, long answer, and it's really good. Like, if you just want to know what was announced at Google I/O, you could essentially just read this instead of reading my blog post. And I don't see any hallucinations or anything wrong in it, although I've seen people point out that AI mode is still getting things wrong. Apparently, if you ask if it's 2025, it says, no, it's not 2025, it's 2025. And so, like, clearly there are mistakes to be made. Let's talk about that. Why would Google put something into search that is not accurate? I really believe that what Google is doing is they need to test AI mode. They need to test these answers, and they need to do it with millions of people. And so the only way to do this is to go live. And eventually it will get better and better. Claudia asked who else was cited besides Google, and I think it was Search Engine Roundtable was there. And there was this site, SiliconANGLE. I don't know who they are. And then the Google blog themselves, and CNET as well. So now this is just one search. If you are caring about, if you're in this call, you really should be trying to do searches on AI mode. And really think, one of the things that you can do is you can take your page, give it to Gemini or ChatGPT, and ask, what are some questions that users would ask about the content on this page? Then search those questions in AI mode. Now, if you're outside of the US, it is possible. Clearly, I got AI mode. I can only get it on my phone, though. I think I signed up for Google Labs on my phone using a VPN, but I can't replicate it. I know I have a client in Australia who was able to get it on his desktop with some VPN trickery, but he couldn't figure out how he did it either. Xavier, how does Google know when AI mode says something wrong? Are people expected to click on provide feedback? You should. If you see something wrong, you should be clicking the down button. And those, I believe, will go to quality raters. I would imagine, I'm guessing here, but I would imagine that Google actually uses AI to look at the results and figure out like what was wrong in it. But maybe it's all done by humans as well. And I think that when people are posting on social media of, look at this horrible thing that Google AI did, I think that there's a team that works on, okay, how do we fine tune the system so that that doesn't happen again? So yes, if you see something wrong, and if you see something great in AI mode, thumb it up. I often thumb it up when I see my clients in the results. I don't know if that helps or not. Probably my individual thumbs up isn't going to make a big difference, but yeah, I think it learns by feedback. Claudia says, do you think domain authority matters to AI? So domain authority, that term DA, I think you probably know this, but just in case, DA was a term that was coined by Moz, and Moz was trying to replicate PageRank. And I think they did a very good job. Because years ago, we used to have, Google actually gave us a toolbar that told you, it was called the toolbar PageRank. And it became a way that you could determine how much money when people were buying links. It was awful. Like Google gave us this thing that allowed us to make an economy for link buying, that if you had like a PageRank 6 site, you could make a lot more money than if you had a PageRank 3 site. Why did Google give us that toolbar? That was before they had Chrome. And so all of us SEOs who installed the toolbar, we were essentially feeding Google with data on that they now get from Chrome. So that wasn't your question, though. Really, I think what you're asking is, does the authority of your site matter in AI mode? It 100% does. I think it depends on the query, though. So I don't think there's a number. Like, I don't think that your Moz DA score, because that's based on links, really matters that much in AI mode. But if you are known as an authoritative voice in your industry, then yes, you're more likely to be quoted in AI mode. If you are not known as an authoritative voice, then the way to get there is, number one, to like become one. The quality raters guidelines talk extensively about being known for your topics. And you, those of you who are in the Search Bar Pro area, you have access to the reputation GPT that I created that gives you ideas of like, how do you get known for a topic? You go on podcasts, you write stuff that's good enough to get cited, that sort of thing. And then the other way that, you know, I don't think we've seen it just yet to the extent that we will, and this is my prediction, is to write stuff that's original, unique, and insightful. So earlier this week, Google produced a blog post on how to succeed in AI mode, and or in their AI search features. And a lot of SEOs were kind of like, here we go again, it's just another create great content. But it said, you know, they're looking for stuff that's unique, that's original. They actually said that now AI has multimodal capabilities. Then, you know, pay attention to the images. Unique imagery can help, and videos as well can probably help. And so I really think that we will see more and more that truly original content. And original doesn't just mean like the words on the page are original, but something where if you read all of the stuff that's in this AI mode answer, and you read the websites that were already ranking, would people still want to read your website? And you know, and if the answer to that is no, then you probably aren't original and insightful. So yeah, Xavier says, I found that blog article was a bit generic. I do honestly believe that originality really matters. I think the problem is that many of us don't really understand what originality is. So so think of it this way. I often tell this analogy of going to the library, and you ask the librarian, I would like 10 books on what happened at Google I/O. And the librarian brings one book back and says, well, this one is from the Google blog, you know, lots of people read that. This one's from CNET, you know, a lot of people found that interesting. And this one's from Marie Haynes. She was there personally and wrote her experience about it. And then, you know, what is it about your blog post? Because you can summarize what was at I/O, but unless you add something that makes people go, yeah, I want to get that book, then it's going to be hard for you to convince Google that that they should be showing you. Yeah, Xavier said it's hard to convince people to write content and add value to make it truly unique. And I actually think this is part of the reason for the helpful content update, that Google was using machine learning to learn when content truly was unique. A lot of the content that was impacted was like pretty decent content, but like if you took it away from the web, nobody would be crying that it was gone. And so anyways, we won't get into helpful content too much. We decided, I think the other day, that it was kind of a swear word to say helpful content. It's destroyed so many businesses, that update. And so, okay, well, let's keep going here so you can see, again, that AI mode gives a really, really thorough answer. The other thing, I don't know if I did this in the video, but you can ask a follow-up question on AI mode. And then, okay, so here, these are just the same websites that were shown in the top carousel. Oh, there's a couple of other ones there too. You know, I don't know why this one was chosen. If you're working on client work or trying to rank your own websites, I would be looking at every page that Google has ranked, and I would be trying to think, why would people want to see this article? And some of them, it's obvious, like the Google blog is from Google. Systrix, interesting, Google autocomplete from 2021. I don't know why Google showed that. But just, you know, start looking. I put a little spreadsheet in the search bar, again, the pro area, for some tips and some prompts you can use to try to figure out what's original and unique. Now, AI mode is not just search. And that's the thing that I think we really need to grasp. AI mode will eventually kind of morph with Gemini, and Google's final goal, I wrote about this at the end of my article, Google's final goal is to produce an assistant that will be with us all the time, that will help us do many things in our lives. And so there's a lot that AI mode is going to do. We're just at the beginning. I should point out that Google said repeatedly that we are in a new era of search, that search is being transformed with Gemini 2.5 at its core. Like this was a really big deal. This is not just an experimental product that they're trying to stuff AI into. And I also want to say that, because a lot of people will say, well, Google is just trying to copy ChatGPT. I mean, the T in ChatGPT is for transformer, which was Google technology that Google gave away to the world. And I believe that this was their goal right from the beginning, was to create an AI assistant. And the web is just a part of that. Here's an interesting thing. If you do a search for search engine or search engines, you don't see Google on there. It's interesting, right? I don't think it's their goal to be a search engine. Their goal is to be helpful to people and help them find information. So yeah, and this, I won't, actually, I don't know if I can play it. Let's just see here.
Intelligence would be the ultimate version of Google.
Can you hear that? Before I go on here. Oh, okay, wonderful, thank you. Okay, so Larry Page, one of the co-founders of Google, who was not at I/O, I would love to meet Larry Page. This is him in the year 2000.
Intelligence would be the ultimate version of Google. So if we had the ultimate search engine, it would understand everything on the web. It would understand, you know, exactly what you wanted, and it would give you the right thing. And that's obviously artificial intelligence.
So Google's goal from the beginning, or at least from, you know, maybe it wasn't the very beginning, but at least like within 5 years in, they were starting to figure out artificial intelligence and machine learning. So last year at Google I/O, I had the honor of Jeff Dean, the chief scientist of AI at Google, sat down next to me randomly at lunch. I was like, this guy looks familiar. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's Jeff Dean. And he pioneered, he wrote so many papers, MapReduce, papers on mixture of experts that were used by Google to create these systems that could take the world's information and turn it into something that that people can use to be useful. So let's talk about Gemini Live. So you've probably used Gemini. If you have, I think it's actually available even on the free version of Gemini now, that you can use Gemini Live and you hold your camera up to something and you can talk with it. Let me see if I can demo it. Let's see here. I'll try. So if I go to this bottom button here, your connection was interrupted. That's funny, tech. And I'm gonna point my phone. Hey Gemini, how's it going?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. I see you're looking at something on your laptop. Is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah, what do you think I'm doing?
It looks like you're pointing your phone at a laptop displaying a website. Are you trying to get more information about something on the screen?
Can you tell me what kind of webcam that is?
That appears to be a Logitech webcam. Is there anything specific you'd like to know about it?
Do you know what kind it is and how much it costs?
It's hard to tell the exact model from here, but it looks like a Logitech Stream Cam. They usually cost between $150 and $200. Would you like me to find the price for this specific model?
Yeah, where can I buy one?
You can buy one online from retailers like Amazon or Best Buy, or directly from the Logitech website. Do you want me to find a link for you?
So right now, I know you couldn't see my screen there, but I was clearly just showing it the camera that I'm using, and yeah, it got the right kind. That's Gemini Live, but there will also be Search Live. So right now it's just telling me, hey, I can find you a link. Eventually there will be an overlay on the screen. And that's what we demoed. I went in a little room and they had some things set up, some books on a shelf. And then I asked, they said, what ask it what's a good summer read for, and I don't know really what a summer read is, but maybe a shorter read, I don't know. But, and then, so the woman said that what Gemini would do then is search for what is a summer read, and then it would search for the names in the books, and then it provided me with links to Amazon and to other places to buy it. So this is something we really need to think about. I was working on a report for an e-commerce client, and I happen to have one of their products in my house, and so I asked Gemini, you know, what is this? And if it broke, where could I get another one? And it recommended 3 sites, of which my client was the second site. So we should be trying to think about how this will work. Now, that's with cameras, and then there's also the glasses. So here I am looking very, very geeky. I got to try the prototype of the glasses. When glasses come out, they will be much nicer looking. They're going to be made by Warby Parker and Gentle Monster. And then there will be other companies eventually that make them as well. What fascinated me is, like, I clearly have prescription glasses, and Google took my glasses and did some scan on it, and then put like this film over what I was wearing, and I had like perfect vision, which is really wild that like these glasses cost hundreds of dollars, and yet you can just do that in a few seconds is pretty crazy. And so I don't know if Kim is here. Kim Kuhlman Harris and I were together hanging out, and we both had the glasses on, and the demonstrator said, okay, can you see the weather and the time? And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I kind of focused my eyes a little bit differently, and right in front of me was a really clear display with the weather and the time. And we walked around this room and asked questions about paintings, and it was very, very cool to talk. Eventually, Gemini in glasses will also be able to show you Google Maps, and the maps will be down on the ground. So if you're walking somewhere, it'll just show you exactly where to walk, which is pretty cool. And so this is really going to change how people search. Like, I picture that I'll be in my backyard, I'll be doing gardening, and I'll tap. So the way you turn it on is you tap the side of your glasses, and I'll just say, you know, what is this bug that's on my plant? And Gemini might say, well, you know, that looks like it's an aphid, and you probably need a spray for that. And then Gemini will show me where I can buy it. And we'll talk in a minute about Google is going to be creating buying agents that will buy for me, so I won't even need to go through the checkout. And then eventually, so at the at I/O, they had a little thing called Pie in the Sky. And these really delicious pies were delivered by drone by a company called Wing. So Google has partnered with Walmart, and right now Google and Walmart are delivering supplies for disaster relief. And I think, I mean, there's a lot of regulation that happens before a Google drone comes from Walmart to my backyard to give me the spray that I need for my my flowers. But I do think that that's where we're headed eventually. So the way people search is going to change. It was very, very helpful and very intuitive. Like, I just really found it really easy to switch between actually seeing and then seeing the little screen that we have. Feel free at any time if you guys have comments or questions to add in the chat. I'm pretty good at stopping back and forth. So if you want to add something, go for it. The next thing is personal context. This is going to change search. So you will need to give your permission for this, and I know a lot of people won't want to, but Google has, you know, I have, how many years have I been using Gmail for? Like, I have years and years and years of context on what's important in my life. And so you can give Google access to that and your other Google products. So, you know, in your Google Docs, in Google Maps, the locations that you've been to. The example that they gave was in AI mode, you might search for, they said, things to do in Nashville this week with friends. We're big foodies who like music. And then AI mode will show me restaurants that like really they know that I like outdoor seating because that's what I've booked in the past or something like that. So the big thing about personal context is that there's no way that you can do keyword tracking for that. And keyword tracking really is going to be difficult anyways, because we're going to be having conversations with AI rather than searching with keywords. So what do we do about this? I think it's really, really important to develop an audience. And, you know, I want to be in people's Gmail. I have a newsletter, and if you're interacting with my newsletter, then there's a good chance, I think, in the future that if you search for something and Google has the choice of showing you my website or other websites that you've never visited before, that's going to show you mine, because we have a relationship together. So, and then the other thing I think about is bookmarks. And, you know, I don't know how many of you bookmark pages. I do bookmark stuff, and I print stuff and send it to people. One of the questions in Google's documentation on creating helpful content is whether your content is bookmark worthy. And so, like, I don't think it's a direct ranking factor. I don't think like, oh, 40 people bookmark this page, therefore it gets a ranking boost. But the types of pages that people find valuable enough to bookmark are the types of pages that Google wants to show to people. So, so yeah, personal context. When did they say that was coming? Did I write that? I'm not sure. Some of these things they said were coming by the summer. I do believe that most of what we're talking about here will be live and probably globally by the end of the year. I don't know that 100% for sure, but I think, you know, I wrote a little while back how Sundar Pichai said that search is going to change radically in the year 2025, and I do believe it. Jeannie says, audience connection. A domain with a large engaged audience often signifies its trusted and authoritative source in its niche. Yeah, people share and link to it and discuss the content they found on it. So, so yeah, I do think that having an audience is important, and that's why when Google came out with the helpful content update or system, they published all this stuff on people first content, and I hated the wording that they used. They said, "Do you have an existing or intended audience?" Well, you know, everybody has an intended audience, but I think if you have an existing audience, outside of search, like if Google search went away, would you still have a business? And if the answer to that, I mean, you might have a reduction in business, but if the answer to that is yes, then I think you're probably going to survive through the next era of search. Xavier, now we'll see websites displaying a pop-up asking to bookmark the current page before we leave. I've considered that, you know, I think it's not a bad idea. I think even better though is creating content that like people want to bookmark. So like, for example, I started creating a page on Google algorithm updates. Oh, I haven't added AI mode to that yet. In like 2011, I think I started doing that page, and it's been bookmarked many times, and then it often ranks well. Sometimes it doesn't. I think it's because I don't always keep it fresh. That's, if I could give you one hint about ranking right now, it would be freshness. Google is really seeming to reward pages that have new information, fresh information on it. Okay, let's talk about Gemini and Chrome. Do any of you in the chat have access to this yet? Because it apparently is live now in the US for English users and only on MacBooks and Windows PCs, which is wild to me because I have a Chromebook. You would think that Chromebooks would get this first. Mind you, I'm in Canada, so I don't get it anyways. But this is really going to change how people use the web. So let's see here. You saw it in your MacBook, Jeannie. I guess you haven't tried it out yet. I think at first it'll seem like a novelty, and then we'll start figuring out how to use it. The example that they give here is they're saying this is a recipe page, and somebody is asking, how can I make this dairy-free? And so people will take your recipe and then say, well, you know, I want to make this dairy-free, nut-free, or I don't have any sugar, what else can I use? That type of thing. And so how does that change how we make content? You know, I think I would like to be creating content where I'm like, look, here's my process for getting into AI mode or AI overviews. I just published something in the search bar this morning on that. And then and then suggest that people use Gemini in Chrome to personalize it for you. And I'll probably put on my webpage, here's a prompt you can use if you open Gemini in Chrome to personalize this for your website. And so that's one thing. But the other thing that I'm worried about is e-commerce, because I think if I'm on a product page, and I could use Gemini to say, like, where can I get this for cheaper? Or what do you know about this? Like, does this retailer have a good refund policy or good shipping? Are there complaints about this retailer? And so I think that we're going to see this change a lot of things. Glenn Gabe shared this example where he was watching baseball in Chrome, and how many saves does Luke Weaver have this year? And then Gemini answered, oh, interesting, sharing, it shared a video. So it was, he was obviously on YouTube. So interesting stuff, right? I think that's really going to change how we do search, and we'll come up with new and interesting ways to create content in a way that encourages people to use Gemini in Chrome. Of course, people will use it to summarize big, long articles. I find that interesting. Like, I still don't really like AI summaries of articles. In my newsletter, I write it myself because I always feel like it misses the important parts for me. But I do find it useful when I'm reading like a patent or a scientific article that maybe is like 200 pages long and I don't want to read the whole thing. So yeah, lots of people will be using this. Okay, let's talk about Project Mariner, and then we'll talk about agent mode. Maybe I shouldn't have put these two together. Project Mariner is the thing that will change how, it'll be the thing that causes jobs to be lost. And it'll be the thing that causes some people to have a huge advantage over others. So right now, Project Mariner, you can only use it if you have Google's new expensive AI plan. Right now, Gemini Advanced is $20 a month. And this Gemini Ultra is $250 a month. Can you imagine paying $250? I mean, I'm already paying $200 a month for OpenAI Pro. It's going to be so confusing because OpenAI Pro is the super high level, and now Gemini Pro is the $20 a month level. Ultra is Google's super high level. I'll tell you, as soon as this is available in Canada, I am buying it. And the reason for that is that I believe that it will save me many hours of work that would save me far more than $249. Actually, in Canadian, it's like $333 a month. So I demoed Project Mariner at Google I/O, and I was like, here's what I hope it will do. And the guy was like, yeah, I don't see why it couldn't. Anything you can do in your Chrome window, you can teach AI to do it for you. So you can have 10 Chrome browsers open at one time, and you can teach Project Mariner repeatable tasks if you want. So for example, when I go to publish my newsletter, one of the things that it takes me probably about 4 hours to get it from like I'm done in Google Docs to put it everywhere where I need to put it. So I'll be able to say to Project Mariner, put this in the search bar and optimize the images. I do it like this. Make sure that all the parts are bolded that need to be bolded, and things like that. And then another window will be putting it into ConvertKit and creating my email based on the template that I use to send my email out. Another window will be opening up LinkedIn, another one on X, and another one on Blue Sky that'll be writing a tweet or a post for me to do. And then each of them will complete their task and then send me a message to verify that I want to go ahead and hit send or complete whatever I'm going to do. So that's one thing. And then the other thing we can do is client work. So this is very similar to OpenAI's Operator, which I was just using before this call for a client. The difference between Operator and this is that Project Mariner uses my browser, whereas Operator uses a remote browser somewhere, probably in California. And so what I did this morning was one of my clients were trying to figure out some things that we can do to improve user engagement, and they have access to, they're working with a company to do A/B testing. So they asked me for ideas for A/B testing, and I came up with some ideas, and then I sent off Project Mariner and I said, do a search for this product, and as if you were buying it, do the search on Google, because it will use Bing, but if you ask Project Mariner to use Google, it will. And then I said, on each of the websites you're on, take note of what's really good for people and likely to be satisfying for them, and potentially lead to conversions, and what's not. And then I said, now go to my client's site, which it actually did anyways, but go to my client's site and make a list of the things that they could consider A/B testing. And it gave me a list of, I think I asked for 10 things, of which like 8 of them were fantastic, and we will probably do. So I don't know if Project Mariner will maybe check rankings for us. Rankings, I say with air quotes, because keywords won't be a thing anymore. But I think all sorts of things, like I saw Will Reynolds had a really excellent video the other day where he was like, the more you'll know you get use out of agents by how many Chrome tabs you have open. So if you're doing work for clients and you're like, search this, click this, screenshot this, then that's the type of thing that we'll have our agents do. So why does this cause the end of work for some? Is because like right now I do almost superhuman work in publishing newsletter. It used to take me, I had a team of 12, and almost everybody on the team would be involved in publishing newsletter. And now I made the choice to take all that work on myself rather than to manage a team. But now, it's basically like me having employees, and the employee can work all day, every day if I want it to, and has no emotional needs. This is not a hit on any of my former employees. They're wonderful. I love them all. But you can see that eventually AI will be trained to do a lot of the things that I do. So Project Mariner is one thing. And then Google said that they're going to be introducing agent mode. Agent mode is the start of using AI mode as your agent to connect with agents on other websites. I wrote an article and I did a podcast episode a little while back about agent-to-agent protocol. And what that is basically exposing the information on your site in a way that is easy for other AI agents to read it. And so Google gave this example, can't make that smaller, of buying tickets. So they've partnered with Ticketmaster and with a few other places. And this AI answer tells me, all right, here's the cheapest seats. I want affordable seats. See how it looked for these 2 tickets on 15 sites. And then I think I messed up the order of these. It told me the best value tickets are these ones here. And there's a button to purchase on SeatGeek. And if you do that, so this is, I think this is SeatGeek. You can have your agent do that. And I didn't actually visit the website at all. There's another video that I've shared a few times with Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. And he says that within a few years, SaaS and business applications will be no longer. Because what SaaS is essentially a database of information with some type of a graphical interface on it. And very soon for things like this, like, well, you might say, well, what if I want to explore for myself? Well, you can ask your agent to do that, Well, if you're like, I want seats that, are in the front row or whatever, like your agent can do that. So, so a lot of websites now, that's going to change how people shop online. Well, let's see here. Okay, next. Custom charts and graphs. This is exciting and also is not good for some websites. So what you'll be able to do in AI mode, and right now it'll be, I think this is coming in the summer, it'll be just for sports queries and for financial queries. And so the example that they give here is the White Sox. Here's a breakdown of, my computer thinks that I'm not using it. Okay, here's a breakdown of the team's home win percentages by year, and it made a chart. Now, so I could ask things like, show me how deep into the playoffs the Leafs went every year, and ask it for a sad face emoji alongside. And this says, compare the Phillies and White Sox home game win percentage. And, I didn't show you the actual chart there. The thing that concerns me is the financial data. So if you have a lead gen site for, you know, say you're helping people find the best credit cards or the, you know, the best insurance or anything like that, a lot of that information I think you're going to get directly from Google search. And I think it'll be very, very helpful for people, but also will send less traffic to websites. So, you know, there's some changes coming there. Okay. Again, if you have any questions or thoughts, keep going. Don't worry about interrupting me because I'll stop and go back. Okay. Deep search. How many of you have used deep research? Deep research is a game changer. There's deep research in Gemini. I think free users get some use of deep research. And then there's, but Gemini advanced users get significantly more. I've never run out of queries, but I know some people who are like using deep research all day long that Google says, okay, that's enough. You can't use anymore. And then ChatGPT has deep research as well, which I really love, especially if you're using O3, the reasoning model. It gives you incredible reports. So deep research, the way they described deep search in AI mode is very similar to deep research. I think it is deep research other than it works fast, much faster. And so this is going to be right in the search results. And you can see this query that like people are asking, help me research an affordable summer camp within a 10-minute drive for my 9- and 6-year-old, include dates and schedules, pricing, aftercare, support, all these things. And deep search will go off, and they said it's essentially AI mode with the query fan out, except that it will ask hundreds of queries and come back with a report for you. And this will be right within the Google search results. So we can see that that means less need for people to actually go to websites. Perhaps you know, deep research, one of the first things I did, Amy, you said you have it and you love it, deep search or deep research. Deep research is just so good. I don't know that deep search is out yet. I could be wrong on that. One of the very first things that I searched for with deep research was we're doing composting, and we added worms to our compost last year. And I was like, okay, you can take the worm castings, it's like the worm poop, and it's really, really good for compost, but there's only so much. Like we have a fair amount now, but I was like, I bet you could like put that in water and water your plants with it. And it turns out it's called worm tea if you do that. And so every time I talk about worm tea, I usually forget to mention that it's for our plants and people think it's really gross. But I did deep research on how to do worm tea, and it showed me like this massive report on how many worm castings to use versus how much water, how long it lasts for, and in between every paragraph was a link to websites. I read every single one of those websites because I was deeply researching this topic. Now, I didn't actually make purchases from those websites, but I mean, I could have. So deep search could be bad for some websites. It could be really good for other websites. And I think that if you have detailed experiential information, that you're more likely to be shown on deep search. The other thing that is really, really exciting now is if you use deep research, you can add your own sources to it. So you could add a Google slide deck, you could add your docs, you could add all sorts of things and ask Google to make a report based on those things plus the web. And I did this, I tried it with newsletter. I took a list of links and I asked it to make me a headline for each of them and write a 2-paragraph or a 2-sentence summary. Now, I won't take those exact summaries. Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I'll do it and you won't know that it's me or Gemini. We'll see. Jeannie said you got, is that Gemini in Chrome after updating your Chrome browser? I should try that. Try it with my VPN on. Yeah, so I asked, deep research in AI mode transforms shopping away from simple keyword searches into a highly intelligent, personalized, and proactive experience. I would see that. I did deep research around Christmas time, I think, to find ideas for my children. I was like, they're this old, this is the kind of thing they like, and it found me all sorts of really cool ideas that I wouldn't have thought of before. So back to my newsletter, like this deep research that took my own Google Docs and the style of my newsletter as well, made like a pretty good version of each story that I will either use or I'll modify slightly to use, but it'll save me many hours to do that. Oh, you have, deep research, Amy. Yeah. I'd really encourage you, if you're not sure what to do with it, like just start. You can even ask Gemini or ChatGPT, like, what should I do deep research on? I love ChatGPT's memory. It's a little bit creepy how much it knows about you, but almost every day I ask something like, based on what you know of me, create this. And you can say, like, what are some topics that I could explore deep research with? And I'd encourage you to do that. This right here was really cool. I took my notes from I/O, and then I took my last few reports for one of my clients, and I put them into the deep research with your own files in Gemini, and I asked it to create a report for my client on what came out of I/O for them. And not only did it create a report, but it said, would you like a website too? And so it gave me this HTML. I wish I could show you, but clearly I had to blur out some of the client stuff. But it actually was really good. Like a couple of the things I would have changed the wording on. And so I actually put this up on my website on a page just for this client, and they took all sorts of notes from it. And so that was just with a really simple prompt. So you can see how eventually we'll be able to produce really good reports for our clients. The other thing it asked was whether I wanted a podcast from it, and the client said it was amazing. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but they know that there's potential for hallucinations. But it's pretty cool what we can start creating with AI. So okay, let's talk about e-com. There were some very interesting things. I should have tried this. I didn't want to. I stood in so many lines to try things at I/O, but this try it on thing is really cool. So what you can do, and this is going to work with any pretty much any retailer that is in Google Shopping, that I can use try it on. I go to my camera roll and I give it a picture of me. Apparently you can give it a picture of anyone, which is a little bit scary, but like, how is Gemini to know, I guess? I give it a picture of me, and then it will show me the product that I'm looking at and what it would look like on me. That's really cool, right? And so here, this guy tried this shirt on this picture of him. So how do we optimize for that? I really don't know. I mean, I guess have really good images, but you should already be doing that. So yeah, the big change is coming for e-com. This is the biggest change for e-com. So Google talked about agentic checkout and buy for me with Google Pay, which I could not find any information on. This is funny. I was looking for information to show my client, like official stuff from Google, and I searched for buy with me with Google Pay, and then I was in the AI overview, which was kind of funny, but now I'm not there anymore. It shows you how they changed so much. So price tracking. So if you're looking for that shirt and you've tried it on and you're like, oh yeah, this looks cool, but also it's kind of expensive, you can ask Google to track the price for you. And they will track the price, and when it comes down, your buying agent will send you a message and will say, do you want me to buy this for you? Pardon me, too much talking. And if you say yes, then it will go ahead and buy for you. So I could not find that many screenshots. This is one that I took during the event myself, and it will initiate the purchase, submit the purchase, complete the purchase. It gives, Gemini is going to have your email address, and then you'd give it your card information via Google Pay. And Google Pay then will, now this is a new thing, buy for me with Google Pay. I'm pretty sure it's a new thing. And I don't know how that changes. Do any of you have thoughts? I don't know if you want to leave a comment there. I see Jeannie's typing, because I feel like this is a really big change, because like there's no point optimizing your checkout pages. I mean, I'm sure there still are going to be people that go to your checkout pages, but eventually your checkout pages are just going to be my agent talking to your business agent. And, you know, it doesn't really matter what the design of your page is or how quickly your form loads, as long as it loads. So I think that we're going to have significant change in how people interact on the web. I shared some stuff a little while back of Gemini Live agent, is it called customer service experience, where you know, you'll be able to actually talk with an agent with your voice, show it things with your camera, and be like, you know, I want a couch for this area. Here's my living room. Can you suggest one? And then the agent can talk with you and then put it into, oh, not you're going to buy a couch online. Maybe you do. But you can see that there's a lot of potential there. Oh, no worries, Jeannie. A Google Cloud meeting. Jeannie's all over the place. Tell us what you learned. So yeah, and then we talked about potentially wing delivery. I'll just briefly go over, oh, I'm running out of battery here. Gosh, that would be bad. Apologies. VO3, now if you have Gemini Advanced, if you're paying the $20 a month, you can use VO3, which VO3 is really cool. It has sound, it has talking and sound effects. It is really hard to tell that it's AI. Now that I've seen a bunch of VO3 videos, I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's AI, but we're really getting to the era where it's going to be hard to know. I sat in a fireside talk with Demis Hassabis and Darren, I think it's Afranosky. I don't have it written here. And they were talking about, so he created an entire movie that, you know, for production, using a lot of VO for sound effects, for B-roll, for all sorts of interesting things like that. And so this is really going to change. Google has an editor now called Flow. You need to be a part of the expensive plan to get the most out of Flow. Let me actually play this here, seeing as you guys have can see the sound.
Do you think we live in a simulation?
No, maybe.
Does it matter?
In the future, computers will create your television programs.
Zeros and ones.
AI versus 100 animators. Who wins?
I do what I want.
Bro, is this even real laughter?
Some people claim that we live in a simulation.
Would you still love me if I was an NPC?
We are coming for you, Hollywood.
We are just random numbers. In the machine,
Are you real? I am.
So that's pretty wild that that was created completely with VO3. The sound, all of the talking is VO3. And it is a bit scary, isn't it, Xavier? I posted in the search bar this morning, the Wall Street Journal spent $1,000 on AI tools to create this, like, I think it was like a 2-minute piece, but it would have cost, they didn't need a production crew. They didn't need, it's clearly not exactly what we would get without AI, but that's pretty wild what's happening. Now, I didn't see Google publish this, but I swear I heard it in the talk in the amphitheater, was that Gemini will be able to make explainer videos for us. So if I'm asking, for a recipe for something, Gemini can probably make the video that explains step by step. And you can imagine when I have glasses on, that's going to be quite interesting as well. We talked about the new AI plans, and there's a ton more that we could talk about as well. I'm going to do a separate episode, probably a live podcast. This thing is cool, Stitch. I just asked it for a website. My daughter wants to create a baking website, and then we can modify that. Let me end this part, and then we'll go into questions if any of you have questions on Google's vision for building a universal AI assistant. So they published this blog post, and that's their goal, is to build a universal AI assistant. I put this video in here because OpenAI, you may have seen, partnered with Jony Ive's company, that he was the man who designed the iPhone and the MacBook Pro. And they're going to be creating a new device, a bunch of new devices. But the first one they've hinted at is something that doesn't have a screen. You just carry it around with you. It remembers stuff about your day. You can ask it things. And it sounds like Google wants to be the same thing. And considering that Google's already on our phones and already used by the majority of us, I honestly think that Google will do very well. It'd be interesting to see how well OpenAI does. But one thing Demis Hassabis said was that in order to get there, there's still a couple more breakthroughs that have to happen. And also there needs to be a better understanding of the world around us. And that's where we're going to see more. Google's doing a lot in the area of robotics, Waymo cars. Oh, we tried so hard to get a Waymo and they didn't come to our area, but one day I'll drive in one. Driverless cars are getting pictures of the world around them. And we are going to start to see that the world moves off of screens and onto, just life, that everything is there ahead of us. So let me end the presentation there. That was quite a long presentation. And we'll see. Did any of you have any comments or questions about AI mode, about the future? The talk with Demis Hassabis and Sergey Brin was fantastic. I have a bunch of video from it that I want to get out and publish. I'll probably do that next week. Because somebody asked Sergey Brin, the interviewer, asked him to predict what the web will look like 10 years from now. And he said, he can't even predict what the world would look like 10 years from now because so much is changing. So I think we have an exciting future ahead, but also a terrifying future ahead. Xavier says, yeah, everything will change. And now I feel like I've been saying this for a couple of years. I think 2022, when I first saw ChatGPT, one of the first things I did was ask it to make a poem about Barry Schwartz and John Mueller arguing whether cheese was a ranking factor. And it was just a silly little poem, but I'm like, math could produce this. Just amazed me. And we'll see more and more that I'm actually working on some agents right now that take my site review process and automate a good chunk of it in a way that I'm happy with. And I'm also working on some agents that will help people stay on top of AI and things like that. And so I'm excited for me. I think I've got a lot of good things coming. But I also think that we just saw today that Dario Amodei from Anthropic said that within, I think he said 5 years, there's going to be 20% unemployment and a lot of jobs lost. But with that comes a lot of opportunity. So if you are here watching this, you're in this presentation, or you're watching it afterwards, you're far ahead of everyone else. And I know it can seem very frightening because as human beings, we like to have stability and we like to know where our next paycheck is coming from. I do believe that there's more potential for good than bad with AI, but we will see. There's a lot coming. Xavier's typing. We'll see what he's got to say. The learning curve to master AI is quite tough. You know, this is kind of what I've been trying to think on, is because I think in order to know AI, like, I don't think we need to know everything about it. Like, I think we need to know the basics of how a language model works. We need to experiment. I almost think of talking to ChatGPT and Gemini like talking to a new species, even though they aren't legitimately a species. But I feel like it's like learning a new language. And we have a lot to learn. So the best way I could encourage people to learn is to just keep trying to use the tools and trying to use it for stuff that you're doing in your day-to-day work. So, and if it doesn't work, well, then you have some experience that you can carry over to the next thing that you tried to use it. Carly, Ahrefs shows which keywords you're mentioned in AI overviews. What do you use to track mentions and citations in ChatGPT? I don't. I know SEMrush is, I don't know if it's out, but they're working on something that tracks mentions. The thing is, I don't think you can, because I think a lot of it's personalized. I think that when I search for some of my own clients in ChatGPT, like I search for keywords or phrases or questions that they would rank for, like ChatGPT always chooses my client, but that it's because memory knows that we've talked. So then I do an incognito, like you can go into ChatGPT search without being logged in, and often it's the same, but not always. So yeah, I don't really know how we're going to keep track. What I am tracking is in GA4, you can set up, again, there's a tutorial in the search bar on this, but you can set up very easily something that shows you referral visits from the language models and the different AI tools. And so I'm just monitoring whether they're increasing. Most of my clients, they're increasing regularly, but they're not anywhere near the type of traffic that they get from Google search. And so we have decided that because things are changing so much, we're not really focusing on being mentioned in ChatGPT. And because, you know, we have a lot of theories on what that takes, but a lot of it is the same as what we do for SEO, is like, you know, become known for your topics, produce helpful content. One thing I think we should really be doing it for SEO already, but not everybody is focusing on semantics, making sure that you're answering questions in a way that looks good to machines, but then also it's really important to look good to people as well. Nicola, do you think AI conversations will appear in Search Console as this mode becomes established? I can't see that Google would give us query data or conversation data. We had the big kerfuffle where when AI mode first came out, if it sent a visitor to your site, it would say no referrer, which made it look like it was direct traffic. And Google said it was a bug. I don't know if it was a bug or what, but they've fixed that. I tested it yesterday, and now it just comes as Google Organic. So it doesn't actually tell me that the search is coming from AI mode. But they did hint that we're going to have something in Search Console. I think we will probably see which pages are getting visits from AI mode. Yeah, but I don't think we're going to see query information, because I don't think that would be possible with the way people are doing conversations. Barbara, Gemini can be a great help in tutoring you on AI. Just ask whatever interests you and it'll be a superb tutor. Yes, I 100% agree with that. And that's a lot of how I've learned what I've learned about AI. It's one of the hard things is you don't know when it's hallucinating. And if you search for stuff on SEO, it's really easy. Like if you know SEO, it'll say things like guest link for a guest post for backlinks and stuff that like is old style we just wouldn't do today, and so we know it's like not perfect in its knowledge, but you still I kind of consider it like talking to a really smart person. Like if you and I sat down and I taught you a bunch of stuff about AI, some of what I say is going to be wrong. Actually, that's something that Dario Amodi said today as well, is that humans hallucinate more than AI does. And so I really think of it as a really helpful assistant. And yeah, here's a good tip for when you're asking questions like this. You can tell it, I'm new, I want to learn the subject, teach me things one part at a time. And that way you don't get this massive long like reading. You can ask questions on every little bit at a time. Oh, Amy said SEMrush has their AI toolkit live. It's $99 per month per domain. I wonder if it's good. Like I think it's having some data is better than nothing. They asked me to test it, but I just couldn't commit the time to it. So you know, I think having something is better than nothing. But I also think that visits from language models will be important for like a very short period of time, and then it's really AI mode as it morphs with Gemini. Xavier, I think AI overviews are maybe a bit easier to track, but soon two people on the same query will have different answers and possibly citations and links in there. I agree, the same. That even I see it between different searches that I'll have different results. So, and even Ahrefs. So Ahrefs is what I'm using the most right now for looking at what's in AI overviews. But often Ahrefs will report something and then I'll go do the search and it's not the same as what they reported because it's changing so much. Carly, this is a really great question. How do I calm leadership down about how our organic search traffic keeps declining? You know what? I feel like I want to write an article on this. Then you can point people to my article. I think one thing is to say Will Reynolds has written some stuff on this. I would look at his blog on Seer, and he's written about how everybody is seeing a decline in clicks. Like it's not possible to not see a decline in clicks because AI overviews are taking some of those clicks. What we really need to focus on is conversions and the things that matter. Now, if you are ad driven, then this is bad news. Like it's been bad news for a while. But for other businesses, so if you have real life customers and search is just another channel for you, then I really want to be looking at not traffic, but whether your bottom line has actually changed. And in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, when I talk to people, the actual amount of money they're making from search hasn't changed that much. It's just that it's hard for us to report on it. So I hear you, Carly. You know what? I will write that article, at least something that can say, look, it's not your SEO. Don't fire Carly. She's doing a great job. It's just that everything has changed. And also there's competition from many other sources now. Like a lot of people are searching on TikTok or on Instagram or YouTube. So last year, Jeff Dean sat down next to me. This year, Jeffrey Geller, I think that's his name, sat down next to me, and he was on the YouTube team, and I learned a lot of stuff about the YouTube algorithm. But he said really it all just comes down to creating stuff that people really like, that your audience likes. But when I asked him, because we were talking about now he works on this fund that Google has for AI startups, and I actually had tried to apply to that. And he said, I told him what I was trying to do. I'm making this learning platform. I'll share more about that later. And he said, you don't need funding for it. But he said, the one thing you should do is produce more content, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. And this will go on YouTube. So I would encourage you to look at YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts has as many views now as regular YouTube. So that's important. Nicola said a lot of our clients are seeing fewer clicks but higher conversions. Yeah, that's great. So that's what we need to be reporting on is, and the problem is as SEOs, we'd really like to report on, look, the numbers go up and to the right. And I think sometimes, you know, the SEO, it looks great to the SEO, but what the C-suite really wants to see is like, have we made any more money from search? And that's what's super important. Sheena, oh, hi, Sheena. Help them see that it's about relevance engineering. Oh, I heard through Michael King. It's forcing us all to be better brand building marketers. Yeah, that really just comes down to understanding your audience, doesn't it? That and that's really the biggest part of, I would say, instead of optimizing for search engines, we should be understanding the questions our audience has. Keyword research in the past, I've said this so many times, but people used to, our process was look up a keyword we want to rank for, look at what everybody else is writing, cover all of those things, and then maybe add a few other things where we're just paraphrasing what everybody else has done. If you understand the questions your audience is asking, especially if those questions aren't answered on search already, then you're going to do really well. Yeah, Laura, YouTube is so important. Oh, Carly said the CRO team will get that credit though. Well, I don't know. I think that SEO is changing. We always have this debate on what do we call SEO now that we're in the era of AI. I feel like I'm leaning towards AIO, AI optimization. I don't know though, some people call it generative engine optimization, GEO. But I think that our role, where you can prove, I don't know your industry, Carly, and how your organization works, but I feel like where you can prove your worth is in understanding all the things we just talked about. Like when I talk to clients and I'm like, okay, so Project Mariner's coming and agents are coming, and I'll say like, we don't really know exactly what it looks like. I can't tell you what to build right now, but I can tell you some things that that are, you have knowledge that they don't have, and that will be very, very valuable. Especially as we start to use these agents. And so I'd really encourage you to do that. Xavier, yeah, we love communicating when figures go up and find good excuses when they go down. I mean, that's what we do, right? So let's see here. We got a couple more questions. SEO is the core of everything in digital. I really think that we have every SEO I know is such a good problem solver, and we're going into an era where there will be many problems. One of the things that I'd encourage everybody to kind of embrace is that we won't have the answers. And we're used to, oh, I have this technical problem, I'll just go see what's written about it on the web. Whereas, I might write my thoughts on what's going to happen with agents, but nobody knows. Even the people who are designing these systems won't. Even Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, was like, I don't even know what the web will look like. Somebody asked him what he's telling his children. Is he encouraging his children to go to college or to university? And he said he has the same philosophy as me, is I'm encouraging my children to do what they love. He had a good point. He said, encourage them to do things that are challenging to them, and then to use today's technology to advance in that area. And for some, that might be going to university or college, but I think there's all sorts of opportunity that's coming for those who are just willing to grab a hold of what the future has. Carly, besides building a Wikipedia page to build my brand awareness, is there anything else I can do? This is just marketing, is be everywhere. I don't even think building a Wikipedia page is the thing, because you can't really get a Wikipedia page unless you have what they call notability. And they're very, very strict, like on how it used to be that if you knew a Wikipedia editor, you could get in there. But now really it's about building a name for yourself. Some of that is PR, but I think you can do it without spending money on PR. Like, for example, how did you come to this podcast? It's because I have name recognition, which I've never spent any money on PR. I've published things that are helpful to people. I've been present on social media. I think that's one thing that really helps. You can go on podcasts. Here's an interesting thing. I went on a podcast with 97th Floor with Paxton Gray, and they called me a Google SEO and AI expert. And the next day, if you searched for a Google SEO and AI expert, I was #2 in the AI overview and #1 organically. It only lasted for a while, but because EEAT is primarily about what other people say about you. And I think that's the key thing to remember right there. Thank you. Should I implement LLM.text on my websites? My boss wants me to do this, but I'm reading it's a waste of time. I think it's a waste of time. I haven't seen any of, for those who aren't sure what LLMs.text is, it's like a robots.txt file that gives instructions to the language models on what they're allowed to crawl and how they're allowed to use your data. I don't think any of the major language models are using it. And I personally don't think that it's going to happen. Now, if it comes out that OpenAI was like, all right, we're going to respect LLMs.txt, and here's how you create one, then create one. But right now, there's nobody following it. So yeah, I agree with Laura. MCP should be a focus. If you're not familiar with MCP, at first it sounds horribly complicated, but it's not. Model Context Protocol is kind of like an API for agents. So, an API that allows agents to use your tool. So if you have something on your website, like a form, any type of a tool that people could use, then you can use Model Context Protocol, which it's not difficult to program. There's all sorts of tutorials. You can do it with just a few lines of code. And it makes it so that any language model, I think it supports like over 200 different language models, can understand how to use your tool. And eventually that's something that's going to be very, very important. So as I'm creating these agents, I'm going to create these little Marie bots that you can, you can try to think like me or converse with me. And I will use MCP so that if you're a ChatGPT user, if you're Gemini, if you're Claude, you'll still be able to use my tools, even though it's not speaking with the same language model as you are. Xavier, what do you think about SaaS solutions suggesting to analyze server logs to monitor AI bots traffic? I wonder what the purpose is. I think it's interesting to see there are many AI bots. I know some people block out any AI bots other than OpenAI, Google, Perplexity, perhaps. I really don't know the purpose, though, of analyzing it. I think it's interesting. I think analyzing stuff at this stage, anything that you can analyze and report on, is something interesting. But I don't know what action you would take on it, other than perhaps if some bots are. I know one of the biggest consumers of crawl information on the web is ByteDance, which is TikTok, and so perhaps you want to be blocking them, but maybe you don't want to be. Like TikTok is important for a lot of businesses as well. So let's see, Xavier, what you have to say there. This has been good. We've been going almost an hour and a half now. One claim is they can help to see if it brings traffic, but I doubt it. I mean, there are a lot of different AI tools and bots, and I find it fascinating to watch the conversation around agents. Like, I know a lot of people right now are using N8N. What's the other one? There's another one that people are using, and I'm like, all of these companies will be redundant as Google and OpenAI develop their products. I think that OpenAI will still be like really important they've done such a good job at getting people into the ecosystem. But I don't really worry about other AIs at this point. I'm open to being wrong on that, though. It's I see several people are typing, so we'll see if somebody has another opinion on that. Sheena, would MCP apply to e-com customization models, allowing AI to understand and use those tools? I'm almost positive yes, that's the case. Now, Google will come out with, if you're a member of Agent Space, and Agent Space is for using AI within your business, I believe that a part of that is involved with monitoring your e-com and actually using AI to get insight into what people are buying. So I would look into that. But yes, so if you have a shopping cart, that feature that we saw where Ticketmaster or where Google's going to Buy For Me Now. Buy For Me Now probably doesn't use MCP. It's probably still just navigating the web. But eventually agents will be looking for tools to integrate with. So yeah, I would at least look into it, Sheena. If you find something, you should write about it, and then I'll link to it and put it in newsletter and share it with people. Carly said, met with Google yesterday about Agent Space and creating me an SEO agent. Do you think it's worth the money? So I talked to somebody about Agent Space. It was funny because I signed a form that was like, I'm interested in learning more, but then it turns out that you need 100 seats. You need to buy 100 seats. And we were looking at maybe we could buy 100 seats within the search bar, but then they're like, no, you're just reselling it and it wouldn't work that way. So I think it would be useful. If I still had an agency, especially if I had 100 seats in an agency. So if I had a 100-person agency, what Agent Space does is it lets me have my standard set of documents. So I'd have our template for site reviews, our onboarding process, are like all of the documents that are currently in Google Docs, then the entirety of my team would be able to use AI across those documents. And what they talked about was having agents within Agent Space. So say you bring a new employee in, then the onboarding agent would talk to that employee and would coordinate with the HR agent and also the payroll agent, and any questions that that new employee had about, how much vacation can I take, or can I take a sick day, things like that would go through these agents. And then there's always the option to bring it to the attention of a human. And so I do think that Agent Space is probably worth the money, but I don't know a whole lot about it other than that. All right, we'll give a few more seconds if anybody's got any other questions or comments. Like I said, I'm going to be working on more about the future. I have a few talks coming up at the end of the summer and in the fall, and everybody who asked me to speak, a few people asked me to speak on Google algorithms, and I'm like, I just want to talk about how AI is changing the world. So we're going to talk about brain-computer interfaces, which seems like so futuristic, but it's not that far away. And we're gonna talk about agents changing how people work. Oh, you're welcome, Xavier. I love doing this. I have no voice soon, though. I'm gonna be losing losing my voice. And thank you to everybody who came. I really appreciate. I should mention a little bit about the search bar. If you are new here, you've joined now, and so you're a member of the search bar SEO and AI news area, where myself and some really enthusiastic people put information in about what's happening in search and in AI. There is a paid area of the search bar too, which is fantastic. We have just over 200 of us now that share our experiences with AI. I put tutorials in. Just today, I put in a process that you can use to try and rank in AI overviews, something that's worked well for me, but it's an ongoing process. And then we have regular meetings, except it's not like this meeting, everybody gets to talk. It's not just me talking. And Xavier came up with the name. We're calling them the Search Bar Pro Happy Hour. And it's really a lot of joy talking about the future and helping each other as we figure out how we're going to take advantage of this knowledge of AI and help the people who are around us. Because as the world changes, it's really easy to fall into this place of fear. I went through it. I went through a very, very difficult time where I realized that because my career for the last decade plus has been helping website owners who struggle with Google's algorithms. And I was finding every single meeting I was having was a grief counseling session, because a lot of websites, your business needs to change, or your business practice is no longer going to function. And this is something that we go through as humanity. I talk a lot about the lamplighters, the people who would go around putting gas in the lamps in the 1800s, and how they lost their jobs when electricity came. But then electricity brought all sorts of opportunity. And so, we can sit and complain about the mistakes in AI, and or we can try to figure out how to take an advantage and how to be happy and succeed in this new era. Oh, Leanne, hi, thank you. Thank you for investing so much time helping others to understand this massive shift. And we'll be sure to attend the next happy hour. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Sheena. I'm so glad to have you here, Sheena. Sheena and I met at MozCon and started dreaming about having businesses for SEO, and then we both got nice and successful with our businesses. So community really is the way to go, right? All right, well, thanks everyone. We'll end this episode here. I will put this in the search bar afterwards, and it'll be up on YouTube as well for everybody to see. So thanks for watching, listening, participating, and I wish you the best of luck with everything.